From the earliest days that I could remember, my mind was constantly capturing the frame. The broad expanse of sky and the mountains of Vermont that I grew up on. Watching the animals, becoming part of nature. But what I really wanted to do was make films. So off to the big city I went. To study motion picture, television, business. The streets of New York became my greatest coach, and my friends, my family, my best teachers. I got very good at what I wanted to do very fast. If you took a snapshot of my life, it looked perfect. I had a lot of fun. I won awards on MTV. I directed music videos for Grammy-winning artists. I made my first independent feature film. I ran my own production company and was fully immersed in being a filmmaker. I had a big home in Manhattan, drove around town in fancy cars. I had supermodel girlfriends to go with my supersized ego. I got into all the best parties and hung out with the coolest people. But I wasn't satisfied. There was something missing. So I went to Hollywood, took it to the next level. Big movies, big stars. Don't get me wrong, it was a very good time, and I really believed this would be the thing that finally made me happy. But it didn't. No matter how big I did it or how hard I tried, something profound was still missing from my life, and I didn't know what it was. Then I began to wonder if filmmaking was my gift. Maybe I didn't have any real gift.
We incarnate on planet Earth, not to receive anything from the world whatsoever, but we incarnate to release the gifts, the talents, the capacities, and the powers that are within us. People have a tendency to think that the world owes them something or that people owe them something. But in reality, as we evolve, as we become more conscious, we discover that this life force or this life presence is seeking to become conscious of itself as us, according to our unique pattern. That unique pattern is our gift, is the way we get to express the life, the love, the beauty, the joy, the intelligence, the order of the universe, as only we can do it. So everyone being a unique emanation of this presence, everyone being a singular manifestation of a cosmic destiny, has not only one gift, but many ways by which to release this life energy.
You know, life itself is a gift, and it comes with a beautiful wrapping paper. And often, we don't uncover the wrapping. We are just caught up with the beautiful colored, glittery wrapping paper. We never go into the depth of what life is. So we need to unwrap the gifts that life has offered to us and discover really what is inside of us.
It is our unique way of expressing love, our unique way of revealing creativity, a unique way of downloading wisdom and beauty and all of the transcendent qualities that are everywhere present. Some are more specific. Some have a proclivity towards doing that musically. Some can do it vocally. Some do it through architecture or through healing. But ultimately, as an individual releases their gift, they're actually releasing the next stage of their own evolution and activating that same vibration and frequency in others as well. It's why we're here.
Well, everybody does have a gift to give, and the gift is the essence of who they are. The sun has to shine. It's the nature of the sun to do that. It doesn't withhold its shining, and it doesn't shine to get feedback. It just does it because that's its nature. And it's our nature to love. It's our nature to express ourselves. It's our nature to give. If we are from that which is all, then we contain all within us, and we have some unique aspect of that allness that we are. Just like nature contains flowers of many different varieties, we're all different varieties of this God consciousness that's manifest in physical form. Knowing that we come from that and that we're returning to that, we can't be anything less than that. I mean, we are literally expressions of God.
You know, a lot of times in life, it's like you're lifted to the top of the mountain for a moment just to show you what's there. And then you have to go back to the bottom of the mountain and you have to climb. If you take away the humanity of the journey, you take away part of what is to me most beautiful.
And in my own journey, I was missing something, the presence of which would make a profound difference in my life. I was not present to my own presence.
And I had no idea that the fact that I had no relationship with the closest living woman, blood relative on the planet to me, was what was affecting me so profoundly. And then I realized I was the source of the fighting in my family.
So I got a phone call from my brother, unexpectedly, because we hadn't spoken to each other for quite a few years. I don't even remember exactly how long it was. It just felt like forever, because we didn't like each other at that time, and our relationship was toxic for each other.
I was in an emotional war with my sister. We had not spoken in years. We hadn't really communicated since our mother had died. And if you put us in a room together, there was going to be an all-out verbal and at some point physical fight.
And I got the phone call, surprisingly, because truthfully, I, at that point, wasn't going to communicate with him anymore.
I finally was able to let go of all the issues that I had and call my sister.
He called, and I said, "Dad okay? Is Tata okay?" And at that point, that's who we had left in our life, my brother and I.
She hadn't heard me cry since our mother died, so the first thing she said was, "Who died?" I said, "Nobody's dead. Dad's not dead. No. Grandpa, no."
"But I want to talk to you." And I said, "Well, I don't really want to talk to you at all." And he said, "I really want to talk to you. It's important. I need to ask your forgiveness."
I said, "Something died." I said, "What has died is the anger within my own soul towards you," which was really anger towards myself for having abandoned you as your bigger brother.
And that just stunned me, and I didn't even know what to do with that, because it was the last thing I was ever expecting, ever, was for my brother to call me and say, "Can you ever forgive me?" All I ever wanted was to say yes. So, of course, immediately I said yes, and what's going on? And "I love you, Damien." And he said, "I love you too, and I'm really, really sorry for everything."
And I told her in that moment, I said, "From today forth, I will never, ever, ever raise my voice to you again. From now and until the day I die, when you want to know what that bright light on your shoulder is, it's your brother, baby, and I got your back."
And that was like the happiest day of my life that I'd experienced that day, because my life had just been going away. Everything that I thought was solid and real in life kept leaving. And so I said yes, and we cried on the phone together for a long time, and I'll never forget it.
And the power of that moment, the vibrational shift in energy between my sister, Cheyenne Joy, and her brother, Damien, was so profound that that vibration permeated out into our entire family, and our entire family stopped fighting.
And I just wanted to be there with my brother and be in the forgiveness of with him and be together. And he said, let's be a family. I want to be connected. And I was like, yes, I want to be connected too. I've been waiting and I'm so excited. And that then began another life for me, which was a life of being connected to my family.
I realized that I had everything within my being that it took to eliminate anger in my world. And if I could do that there, then it was possible that I could expand that realm of consciousness to the next realm. And if I could take it from there and expand it to the world, what would be possible?
One of the basic factor to develop the mental disorder is mainly a lack of affection, lack of compassion in family or in parents or the society as a whole. So this shows we human beings is in need of compassion.
We've all heard, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open. This is a law. The universe is always seeking to wake us up. It's always broadcasting what's within us, the powers that are within us, the gifts that are within us. If we ask the question, we've now become receptive.
Why do I want to be a filmmaker? Why do I want to travel the world and create stories about the human existence? And I answered that question because I ultimately believe that it is possible to reach the entire planet through the process of being a filmmaker.
And now realizing that I do have an extraordinary gift, I want to share it. I want to make a difference.
If an individual really wants to discover their gift, they have to ask, what is trying to express through me? What gift is trying to emerge? What power is trying to become conscious of itself as me? Many people aren't asking that question. They're just asking, how can I avoid pain? How can I get more stuff? How can I fit in to the society in which I'm living? How can I become successful? And perhaps their model of success is something that's been handed down to them by a high-tech, low-touch, consumer-driven society. But when you ask, how can I become more myself? How can I share my gifts? How can I activate my potential? Now you begin to activate the spiritual faculties within you that allow you to hear the inaudible and to ultimately see the invisible. Because you're pulling yourself out of the world. You're pulling yourself into an interior awareness of a broadcast that's always being given. We're guided not by the world, but we're guided by our heart. We're guided by our soul's desire to unfold.
I remember growing up feeling like I didn't belong on this planet, like I was an anomaly. And I remember feeling just so alone and so disconnected and so sad. And then that escalated to a point of feeling angry, like something had to shift, something had to change. And from that space is where I began to search. I had like this inner knowing that I was destined for more than what was showing up in my life. I just hadn't trusted it before. So I started tuning into that and asking questions, deep questions. Who am I? Like, who am I really? And what's my purpose here? And then I noticed that when I asked disempowering questions, like, why is this happening to me? I would experience pain. But when I asked those higher vibrational questions, like, what am I grateful for? You know, who do I love? How can I serve? Amazing opportunities would come and amazing gifts would be revealed. So it was from that receptive place that began with a question. The quality of our lives is directly proportionate to the quality of the questions that we ask. We create as we speak.
The closer I am onto the frequency of what I'm supposed to be doing, the more perfect life is, the more synchronistic things happen, the more love and laughter I experience, and the more fun I have.
Harmonious, happier, and peaceful, you see, community. That's our goal. So in order to achieve that, I think first, very important to realize every individual human being have a responsibility to humanity.
The only way that the highest good can manifest through our life experience is when we are delving into this radio station that this gift resides in.
What most of us do, unfortunately, because of the way we're educated by our parents and by school and by the military, is we lose touch with that essence. And then you end up at the top of the ladder, 50 years later, only discover you have the ladder leaning against the wrong wall. You've wasted your life. Not to discover your gift is to die with the music inside of you.
If we don't give the gift, we're killing ourselves. We are atrophying our heart and our soul and living life on a survival level, which has a tremendous amount of anxiety, fear. Fear-based living leads to terrible decisions, destruction, hurt, anger. Long-lasting happiness can only come when we're sharing our gift.
And if you're holding that gift back, then what you're asking is you're asking the world, the other people in it, to hold their gifts back from you. So you don't get to participate in this magnificent life that we all have. You're holding back. The more you give your gift, the more that you participate and make a difference in the world, the more the world will make a difference for you.
So, very practically, we have to wake up every single day asking, what's trying to emerge in me today? What gift is trying to activate itself in me today? What power is trying to become itself in me today? If the question is sincere enough and the love is real enough, the universe will reveal its secrets to us.
When you start off on your path, one of the very first things you notice is that the biggest obstacle you have is you. For me, I definitely had a flash of transformation. I had the big breakthrough moment with my sister. I popped into a new world. Suddenly I felt alive. I felt connected to everything. I could see, touch, smell, hear things I could never perceive before. I marveled at the wonders of life and suddenly thought I knew something about nature and God and the divine spirit. And then I experienced the unveiling of a system of harmonious principles, 8 distinct universal spiritual laws, all working together in a unified field of consciousness. They were coming in fast. Receptivity, intention, interaction, feedback, vibration, gratitude, compassion, and unity. And for a brief moment, I glimpsed infinity, and it all became clear. And in this space, every bad habit and overblown piece of my ego came rushing back in to fill the void of the new space I had just created. It was like I was back to square one, or worse, because now I knew that unified field existed. If I wanted this transformation to last, I was going to have to earn it. I was going to have to work for it. I was going to have to go after it like my life depended on it. And to me, it did. My friend Chet Holmes introduced me to Michael and Sydney Cressy, 2 incredible people who would change my life forever. They were hosting a symposium on consciousness, attended by authors, motivational speakers, and transformational leaders from around the world. They had come together to embark on an epic journey into the frontier of what is possible in personal growth, and how each of us can make a difference in our own lives and on the planet. They shared from their hearts a lifetime worth of knowledge. I knew I was ready. I was ready for something, but I was totally unprepared for the adventure that was about to begin.
The human mind really creates everything that happens to you. It looks like it's being created by something out there, but it isn't. It's being created inside your head. What you pay attention to, what you decide to pay attention to, has a huge effect on what happens to you and what you create in your life. You're creating your own reality by deciding what to pay attention to, for instance. What most people don't get is that that is a choice.
We live in a universe of infinite possibilities that responds to the power of our thoughts. Our neurology, like our nervous system and our brain, can't take in infinite possibilities. It's like way too much information. It would be like trying to download the whole internet. So what we do and how our mind works is that it sorts through infinite possibilities and it picks up just a tiny little bit. So it sorts and sifts, and in that process it deletes some things and makes generalizations, and that tiny little bit that we pick up is what harmonizes with our deepest beliefs and our values and our programming.
There have been many conversations in the recent years about what you focus on, you attract, and what happens in your life is because of what you think about, and that is absolutely true. What happens after we think about something is a certain energy is created, and it is created not only in our body, but in our personal space, in our reality, and a certain reality then unfolds because of thoughts and beliefs that we hold in place.
What you think about comes about, right? What is your main dominant thought form? That tells you who you're going to become. If you want to know who you're going to be 5 years from now or 5 minutes from now, tell me what your dominant thought form is, and I'll tell you where you're moving or how you're staying stagnant.
Most people are not directing their mind in an intentional way. It's running on autopilot. So the person whose life is not working is unconsciously and unintentionally thinking in a certain way. And that thinking then directly leads to a certain result in life. And because they don't see the connection, they continue to do it.
People sabotage themselves a lot with negative thinking. When people are feeling angry or depressed, it's usually because they're thinking about something in the past, something that they have no control over. And when you are in the present, that's where you do have control over your thoughts, your actions, how you're feeling, and to get that there's that shift inside. Because when you're feeling negative, you're doing that to yourself. It's a thought that comes down and creates that feeling.
We get in our own way because we hold past memories, we hold on to regrets. We had people that tell us, you're never going to make it. Whatever it is, we've all had experiences. So what we need to do to be happy is let those go. Let the past go. Release what's stopping us from our own happiness.
A lot of people live their entire lives at the effect of everything around them. They don't see their life as something that they can make happen. They see their life as something that happens to them.
Anytime you catch yourself blaming, justifying your actions, making someone else wrong, or trying to be right, or defending, these are examples that illuminate that you're in effect, and you can't discover your gifts when you're on the effect side of the equation because you're not really present to your power.
I wanted to be accomplished and I wanted to be successful, even though I had a little secret, which was that I really wanted to be a mother and I really wanted to get married and I really wanted to have a family. But I thought I couldn't have that life in my career too. I thought that I was gonna have to choose one or the other. I was conflicted and I felt paralyzed.
In the Webster's dictionary, it says consciousness means to be aware of what we are doing and why. And if you're not aware, you can't make choices. If you're not aware of what you're doing in the moment and the impact that's having, you don't have choices. If you're not aware that you say something, you contract. You don't have a choice to do it differently. If you don't notice that you did that and it fills you up, you don't have a choice to keep doing it. It was just an accident. So you can't get better at it. You can't make it a practice. You have to be aware it's a choice, or you can't make the choice.
And then I remembered every moment is a gift. And that's why it's called the present. As soon as I realized that, I saw that everything that I wanted was right in front of me. So I gave myself permission to choose both.
When people develop the awareness to look inside the mind and notice that when I believe this, certain things happen. I feel a certain way, I behave a certain way, I attract certain people and situations into my life. Once people get clear on that and exercise choice at each of these junctures, the world starts to unfold for you.
You know, the very interesting thing about our mind is when our mind is calm and collective and it's focused, it gains enormous energy, enormous power of manifesting its own intentions. You know, human nature is such, you can't but look for something. The quest is very natural to a developed mind, a human mind. We want to know things, we want to know how things are. So to know what is this is science, and know who am I is spirituality. And they're so complementary.
The ultimate creator is human mind or consciousness. Due to our mind, it immediately creates some atmosphere, a pleasant atmosphere or unpleasant atmosphere. Then this energy, it creates a chain reaction on two levels. One immediate effect, one long-term effect. So you see, in order to change the external thing, first must change within ourselves.
In order to change reactive thought to proactive thought, you first have to become aware of your thoughts. Because if you watch your thoughts for long, you start to notice all day long these thoughts are just coming. And you realize you're watching them. They're not you. They're just a part of you is creating them, called your mind and your ego. And as you begin to see the fear and the doubt and the judgments and just watch it neutrally, it almost becomes comical. And then you realize you're not your thoughts, you can observe your thoughts. And once you get to that place, I have a mind, but I'm not my mind. I have an intellect, but I'm not my intellect. I'm this pure center of awareness and choice. Now I see I can choose the thoughts that will take me where I want to go. I can choose the thoughts that will support my dreams, that will uplift me and my family and humanity. Then you become intentional with your thoughts.
If you have a dominant thought form that's dysfunctional, all you got to do is think a little bit better thought, then a little bit better thought, then a little bit better thought, and you start to change. It's a very small, slight change, but little changes are big changes.
You can do something that's not resourceful over and over as long as you do it unconsciously. But if you do it with awareness, really watching, knowing where it's going, if it's not resourceful, you cannot keep doing it.
You have to spend some time to release the conditioning that you've been given. It's not an overnight process. Research shows it takes 30 days of uninterrupted discipline to get a new habit into your life. That could be a new habit of thinking, a new habit of behavior like flossing your teeth. It could be a new paradigm you believe in. And so if you hold this new thought, if you do this new exercise, whatever it might be, to reclaim the essence of who you are and release all the negative blocks that you've taken on over the years, then you naturally step into who you are. You naturally express your gift. This is not hard, it's easy.
A veil had been lifted. I could see that I had never truly chosen my life. I had been living out of alignment with the spiritual laws of the universe. Just behind the surface of physical reality, the laws are always flowing, always creating, always interacting. I had to learn to focus my intention to connect with them. I started to realize that who I am is an emerging possibility. There was an entire new direction that my life was taking, and I was just beginning to sense it. In the darkness of night, one candle can be seen from miles away. It was time for me to light my own candle. I myself have been on a consistent journey to uncover who I am, to get in touch with who I'm being. I think I've walked the planet for a long time as a very arrogant and self-centered and righteous ass. And now that I know that, I'm experiencing a little bit of freedom around it. So that has definitely been the first step. And the next step is to actively seek out people and places and, masters of being, if you will, that can coach me into a higher level of understanding and consciousness, to be more present to the gifts that are available in every moment, every waking hour, and to breathe more. I've been breathing a lot more. Breathe.
When you want to discover the gift that nature has given to you, first thing is we must stop blaming ourselves. Self-blame is the biggest obstruction for one to recognize one's gift.
It'll stop you every time from being able to live the life that you were meant to live, because it's thoughts like, who do I think I am? I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not educated enough. I'm not the right color. When you let those things drive your life, they do.
There's a reason why some people can't figure out what they want. And it's because when they were growing up, their parents never let them decide on what they wanted. Every time they were about to decide on something they wanted, their parents would jump in and say, no, you don't want that, you want this. Or you can't have that, but you can have this. And they never allowed the child to experiment on small things with wanting things, seeing what happens when you get them, and perhaps experimenting with different ways of getting them. And so when they grow up, they have no confidence. They don't trust their own wanter, you might say, because they've never used it, because every time they decided to want something, somebody told them it was wrong, or they couldn't have it, or there was some reason, no, you don't want to do it that way.
Some people never get into that passionate experience and know that that's it for them. Because we find a lot of people take on a life that's not their own, at which they can never succeed. And what we mean by that is they take on the life that their parents planned for them, or they rebel against the life their parents planned for them, depending on their persuasion. But either way, it's not their life, or they took on a life that the church decreed for them, or the politic decreed for them. They've never really got in touch with their own experience.
We all have very different abilities. We have very different talents. We have very different gifts. And most school systems are designed to ignore them. But the problem is, with the education system, is that it's a system. And it's a system that's based on the principles of manufacturing and industrialism. The idea is if you keep with the program and you do everything that's required of you, you'll pop out the far end and you'll be qualified and you can carry on and lead a life, that will be profitable and secure. And none of that is true. And it's not true because human life is not linear. Human life is organic. And human life is not standardized and it's not conformist. It's diverse and extraordinarily rich and various. but for all kinds of reasons, not least of which is education, we're socialized into thinking that certain types of ability are more important than all other sorts of ability. And it's why so many people think they don't have any, because they don't discover them.
A lot of us discount what we have to offer because we can't see how it's going to make us money, or it's not going to make us famous, or we're not going to get invited to be on Oprah, and so we feel like we're not making a difference. Making a difference is not about a project. It's the way you show up in the world every single day. You're already making a difference, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, just by your presence. Your vibrational presence is always making a difference. You made a difference today to everyone who saw you, felt you, or heard you. So the question then is, what kind of difference am I making? Don't measure it in terms of money. Don't measure it in terms of fame. Don't measure it in terms of even how many people you've affected. Shifting one person is sacred.
If people looked for their gift, they would find it. But the world has mesmerized each of us to some extent and degree. It has hypnotized us, if you will. The world says power is in status symbols. The power is in the position that you hold in the world. The power is in what kind of automobile you drive, what kind of neighborhood you live in. That's where the power is. The power is in the money. When the power is in you, and it's in me, it's always been there. But you'll never find it if your eyes are stuck on someone else's gift on the television. If your eyes are a gaze at someone else who's living their dream. What about you and your dream?
Choose in favor of your passion. Choose in favor of the things that have greatest meaning to you. Your passions are like breadcrumbs that lead you onto the path of your gift. And know that every moment is a choice. And you're either choosing closer to your gift or moving farther away from it in every single moment. So what do you want to choose?
The secret of life is finding out what you love to do, developing a deliberate practice to get really good at it. And that's the foundation that will lead you on a serendipitous journey to riches beyond your wildest imagination. One of these days, you'll find the thing to do.
What you love and are interested in is a clue to what your gift is. And what you love will evolve as you do. But what I know for each person is that there is, as unique as our thumbprint, that wondrous thing that is ours. And you will begin to find it by paying attention to what you love. And you'll notice also that when you're in your gift, you feel more alive, you feel more passionate, you feel as if I was born for this.
When you start to tap into who you really are, you don't have to make yourself be happy. You just get happy. You know, you feel trusting. You feel like that voice of the soul, as it starts to come through, is always perfect. It unveils your path for you. It brings you what you need. It connects you with everyone you need.
You know it's your gift when it's effortless. You know it's your gift when it's natural, when it feels beautiful and simple. And everybody already knows that. It's just a matter of remembering.
It's about finding your true spirit. And you know you've found it in a way because time changes for you. If you're doing something that doesn't resonate properly with you, 5 minutes can feel like an hour. But if you're doing the thing that really is part of your being, that is coming from you, then an hour can feel like 5 minutes.
As you activate your gift into the world, you get that momentum behind you. You never know what the light has in store for you. You never know what that maximum level looks like because there is no maximum level. It just keeps scaling up higher and higher and higher, and you just keep touching more and more people, and that momentum and that inspirational power keeps flowing through you, and then that drives you to go even deeper and deeper into your gift, And I believe that that is the source of genius.
At different times in your life, you may have different gifts to discover. Your gift when you're younger might be that you're going to be a mother and put all of your energy into being a mother. And the gift is of love, of nurturing. At some point, because we are individuals who are growing and changing and shifting all the time, whether we know it or not, that gift might not feel big enough for you anymore. You might have outgrown it. You might feel there's something else calling to you. This can be a moment of a lot of crisis for people because we feel, but this is what I chose to do. I wanted to be a full-time mom, or I wanted to be a lawyer, or I wanted to be an artist. Suddenly, it's not fulfilling me. There's nothing wrong with those moments. It means that you have shifted, you've morphed into something else, and that based on the foundation of all that you've learned and all you've become, something more is wanting to be born. These are times when we have to be really courageous, sometimes let go of things that we've defined ourselves by, and be willing to be rebirthed into someone and something new, and discover the new gift inside of you.
If you have not gotten that gift, if you're still looking and searching out there, you got to look into your life and go, what would I do no matter what? If the world blew up, what would I do anyway? If I lost my family, what would I do every day for free? What would I do without any remuneration? What would I do as a nonprofit charity? And if you ask yourself that question enough, and particularly if you meditate on that question long enough, I believe it's inevitable that you will find your gift.
I think the main thing you could do to discover your own gift is to look inside and say, what brings me the greatest joy? What has been the thing that when I do it, I'm happiest? And when you look at what brings you joy, it takes you back into the essence of who you are and what you're meant to do. You know, it's easy to listen to a rock and roll station. It's harder to hear your body, to hear your intuition, to hear God's voice, if you will, speaking through you. It's always called the still, small voice within.
Specific practices to find your gift. One would be practice more solitude. Many people are afraid to be alone with themselves, but it is in the silence of your own soul that your inner voice speaks, and you are able to hear and follow the voice as it directs you.
Solitude will take you places. Go into the woods. Go and bathe yourself in a stream. Listen to the birds singing. Go to the ocean waves and just hear the music. The world, the universe is talking to you.
Another specific thing that you can do is to practice loving yourself. Giving yourself permission to live your dreams. Give yourself permission to be well. Give yourself permission to be okay. Give yourself permission to be forgiven for past mistakes. Give yourself permission to start over. All of these are acts of love.
I'm in Rome, and I'm on the phone with my sister Cheyenne. Look.
So I get a call from my sister Cheyenne, and it was a pretty profound call because what she said was, when is the work you're doing in the world gonna match the man I know? When's that gonna happen? Because you're really good at blowing things up. And I know you have a lot of fun doing it. But it's not a match for who you've become. You know, and it was a great question. And I really had to think about it. And she was right, because on one level, I was over here making the Hollywood movies and trying so hard to get something that was all about, you know, the next biggest thing I could do. It wasn't about who I was being. And suddenly I had my answer. It was right in front of me. It had been there the entire time. So my purpose is clear, to share all these amazing people and the things that I've learned with the rest of the world.
I'm just one of many people that's experiencing this awakening, this rise in consciousness.
As we activate our potential, bliss, ecstasy, happiness, and joy is in the giving of the gift. Because my priority is sharing. My priority is giving. My priority is releasing life energy. My priority is radiating. So my priority isn't getting, because if I go to getting, now I resist the very thing that I want. So I'm on now a precipice of becoming more myself. I'm available to more good than I've ever imagined to come forward in my life. And I'm not under the illusion that I know what that good is. Now, transformation can occur. And we always know it's transformation because it surprises us. If it doesn't surprise you, it's not transformation.
When you start to use your gift to serve, magic happens in your life. It's greater than you could have imagined. It's like a soloist becoming part of a band. And you're part of a whole choir of angels that are also in the same vibration right now. The more you give, the more things come back to you, and then it becomes what you really desire is more opportunities to give. And if that's what you're wanting, that's what you're really wanting, is to serve and support, you find yourself in Iraq. You find yourself making music in an ancient culture. One of the most spiritual feelings I've ever felt is that connection between people I thought were my enemies and myself. Well, working in Iraq for the last 3 years, when we would start the drum circle, people often came from different parts of Iraq, different language groups and different religious groups. So there would be an initial resistance. And you could see the layers of resistance falling off people's shoulders. And pretty soon, over time, everyone came together and playing their own part. Not making my music or their music, but coming together and forming something new, a new song. And everyone was just playing off each other's energy. I think it's a great metaphor for a beautiful way to live. There is a duet that's being called out in our culture right now, in our world. To have the gift of traveling the world and interacting with people through music and sharing really our heart vibrations across the world, it gives me great hope for peace on the planet.
See, anything we do in our life, we do either expecting some sort of happiness or we do as an expression of joy. To shift from this position of expecting something to sharing what you can with the world, with the people around you, makes all the difference.
My name is Tatankamani. It means walking buffalo. My birth name is Andrew. I'm a sun dancer and a pipe carrier and a ceremonial leader and just a common man. People say that the gift I have is to help people learn about themselves. However, I did choose to live a life that enhances that, so that it can be given back in an appropriate way, in a respectful way, and in a traditional way, in a way that only does good things. Because we can't only take in this world, we always have to give back.
True gifts are the ones that we receive and give back to the world in whatever way is necessary. It doesn't mean as much if we just hold on to it and keep it to ourselves. It's often hard and challenging to walk that line, to continually work on those gifts that each person is given. I think a lot of people aren't willing to do that.
Why aren't people willing to do that?
Because it's hard.
It's that commitment to excellence that forces us to grow, and that commitment to not backing away when it's tough, that the real satisfaction, the deeper satisfaction comes from. And it's the giving of our gift where the fulfillment comes. You know, when you're out there serving and people are receiving it, and you've had to work hard to make that happen, and then it just blossoms in its fullness, I don't think it gets any better than that.
Here we are at Refugio Altiplano. I'm Scott Peterson. I've lived here for 12 years now. I run a shamanic healing center, an integrative medicine center where we heal people with natural means. People come to us from all over the world for healing purposes, for guidance, and also for learning. And a lot of the people these days are insulated from their own spiritual lives. They have very little free time, very little recreation. They have very little time to be alone. They're constantly under the influence of television, antidepressant drugs, of a very abrasive people around them on a regular and constant basis. And when they strip off these negative influences, they inevitably will take a certain transition period to come back into a state of homeostasis and calm. But from there, they can begin to grow in a very positive and real direction. If you want to create a positive environment that reflects your inner and higher self, what you have to do is you have to always give energy to the things you like and always take energy away from the things you don't like.
So when we're giving, we're coming from a premise of abundance, and that creates the space for even more abundance to flow into our lives. There's nothing that you give that you won't experience. It's like if you give someone a smile, you're smiling. You're feeling a smile. Or if you give them the gift of laughter, you're the one that's laughing. Or if you give the gift of love, you're feeling the love because it's flowing through you. And as it flows through you, it's like it comes back. It's in the giving that we receive.
It's especially important for all people, men and women, to acknowledge the warrior side of their being. Because when you don't acknowledge that side, it comes out in unhealthy ways.
Ingestation of pizza manifestation.
As much pizza as possible.
All right, let's go, pizza. You ready?
Ready.
Yeah, bang it up, go. Look at anybody famous or anyone who's achieved their goal. They weren't that when they were born. Your left side's dipping just a touch. Somewhere along the line, they conceived it, this vision of themselves, whether it was singing or dancing or playing football or whatever it is. Then they believed they could do it. And once you got that belief, and I think that's where people get stuck. They conceive, they have the conception of what they like, but they don't believe that they can achieve it. And that little block right there in between first and second gear stays inside for their whole entire lives. And if you were to talk to them when they were 80 or 90 or 100 years old and they're lying on their deathbed, they're not gonna say, I'm glad I stayed in this little shell and never bursted out. They're gonna wish. They're just gonna say, I should have done that. Why didn't I do that? I could have done it. In fact, the word inspire literally means to breathe in spirit, because you could do this for an hour in the morning or an hour at night and carry that spirit with you for a very, very long time. And I think that a person who is truly in spirit through inspiration can accomplish anything they want and can easily manifest anything that they're trying to manifest.
Discovering your gift is one thing. Living it, that is something else. It requires as much focus and dedication as anything I've ever done. It is a challenge to every fiber of my being to be in service to what I am becoming. The more I studied and meditated on sharing my gifts, the more I realized that the universal spiritual laws I had experienced were continuing to unfold within my being. And once again, I awakened to this unified field of awareness where everything was connected in perfect vibrational harmony with everything else. As I became open and receptive to this infinite loop of energy, I realized that the more I shared my gifts, the more it inspired others to share their gifts. I was feeding them, and they were feeding me. There was a universal spiritual principle at work, the infinity feedback loop of creation.
Giving a gift is part of the sacred process of sustaining the community and sharing the wealth. And I believe that's really what lies behind this idea of discovering your gift. That you're not discovering it just for yourself, but you're discovering your gift so you can offer it to other people. And that in offering it to other people, you're building a stronger sense of community between yourself and the people that we share the earth with. That it's part of contributing to and being part of the commonwealth of humanity. And in that respect, discovering your own gifts is an act of being selfless as well as one of fulfilling yourself.
Art has always been a gift, and that's one of the reasons why we place such a high value on paintings, because they reveal what's inside, what's underneath. One of the gifts you have as an artist is you feel more, you see more, you connect more. One of the most important moments of my life is when I started to discover my own gift. Once my heart was open, and I began to discover that I was to be an artist after spending all my adult life in business. It was a profound realization. And when I look back in time, it's been 20 years now, I'm so grateful that I didn't stay in what I thought when I was young and I wanted to be an architect or a business owner. I wasn't stuck or married to that for my whole life. I began to change and discover who and what I was. So one of my jobs as a teacher and as an artist is to introduce people to the heart and the heart chakra. And I haven't found a better way to practice opening your heart than in the process of painting.
I decided to sell our very popular restaurant in Whistler and pursue my dreams and work with children in the arts and crafts field. I have over 200 children that want to do art with me. I have never been so poor financially, but I've never been so rich in my heart. It's filled the void because we were never able to have children. And now I have more children in my life than anyone could ever ask for. And I hope to bring this mandala back for the children to see that your art never has to be perfect, that there are mistakes in here, and I know they'll love it. You can never have too many sparkles.
There's something here, but you can't get to it through the mind. You have to get to it through the heart.
I think the very influential way or channel to reach mind. It's those the drawing or the mandalas, because it's a visual impression. It's very, very influential. The way to express their deep feeling, deep awareness. I think in order to develop the value of compassion, it's the value of forgiveness. Of course, artists, I think, have a special role through their own profession. And media also, I think, a very heavy responsibility. And the politicians, and everyone.
Everything on this planet is actually just a certain kind of vibration, vibrating molecules, vibrating particles. This is physics. I'm talking about spiritual physics here. And you are actually just a vibrational being. We are actually all vibrational beings before anything else.
We call ourselves human beings, not human doings, because what we're really bringing into any situation is the quality of our being. And so when we're being loving, when we're being inclusive, when we're being expressive, when we're being joyful, that creates a vibration. And that vibration is what we're really expressing. It's the quality of the energy, the enthusiasm or lack of it, the love or lack of it, the anger or lack of it that really has the most impact.
When you show up, who shows up? It doesn't matter what you're thinking, it doesn't matter what you want to say to people. What's going to happen is they're going to feel you. They're going to feel everything that you've brought into that moment. And we can call that your vibration. If that vibration has lack, if it has anger, if it has resentment, if it has shame, if it has emotions, and all emotions are really just vibrations. If it has emotions that are not vibrating at the highest place, an expansive place, you will actually push away things that are trying to come to you. You will actually attract things that are vibrating with those emotions of contracted feelings.
You need to look in the mirror. You need to look inside your own being to discover where you're off in your vibe, where your anger is, or where your despair is, or where your cynicism lies, or where your resignation is. And until you can begin to come to terms with your own being, it's going to be difficult for you to be able to return that vibration to the world.
There's a principle in music called sympathetic vibration, so that when I play my drum, another drum is actually vibrating at that same pitch, and it will be played without anyone touching it. When we hear a pulse, we can't help but join it, because really the principle is that life wants to harmonize. Every beat, every note we make is felt somewhere.
We're simply a vibration held together into this form, and we're able to express ourselves and to experience consciousness, to experience this tactile world, to eat, to love, to laugh, to raise families, to create grand edifices, to have art, to music. It's extraordinary.
The whole world is vibration. Everything is vibration. And when a happy and peaceful, calm vibration emits from us, it draws similar situations around us. When we connect with the universal presence, then our life becomes effortless expression of joy.
Your life is just a mirror. So when you put your attention on those things that you're passionate about, and then when you start to align with those things, what you find is that the doors start to open, the people, the places, or things start to show up. And you become what I call a passionate magnet. It's just synchronicity just starts to align itself.
We vibrate things into our life. We vibrate things out. We vibrate people in. We vibrate people out. We vibrate opportunities in. So how do we become a positive vibrational being as opposed to just a positive thinker? It means cleaning out our vibration of everything that is not serving us, raising our vibration with love, with all the things that we know expand us and make us feel that we're vibrating at a higher frequency.
You can either match fear out in the world and lower your frequency, or you can stay in touch with your own kind of preferred state where you feel good and happy and stay in that. It's like strike your tuning fork and and once you choose your tone, let's call it, your life starts to be created out of that tone. If you choose a low one, you get a low level life with a lot of snags and problems. If you raise up and move into the higher frequencies, you get a new understanding of reality where everything's much more unified.
Now that I was aware that this infinity feedback loop was always happening, I didn't understand how the circumstances of my life that I perceived to be the greatest challenges or the biggest obstacles were actually for my own good. If I was creating my own reality, why did I keep creating things I didn't want? If the feedback loop is feeding me pain and adversity, then what am I feeding into it?
Some of you are going through some very dark times. You don't see a way out. Your back is against the proverbial wall. You're at your wit's end. You don't know what to do. Some of you are in situations that are chronic. You've been in this tough place for so long that you think it's your lot in life.
One of the greatest challenges I experienced was the death of my mother. There's no doubt about that. Is there really a gift in this? Is there really a blessing in my mom passing? Can I find where she is now? Because really, and we know that she's in the heart. I knew she was in my heart. But to go to that place, to actually find her there, as opposed to looking for her on the outside, that was one of the greatest challenges I ever had in my life. Because energy or matter isn't created or destroyed. All of us are energy. We know that we're existing now, right here in this moment. This experience is a gift. And this is what exists right now. And my mother's here, meaning she's here in this moment, she's present, because everything's present in every moment. So the greatest gift I got out of it was getting past the illusion that there's a death and a life that are separate.
Loss is the most difficult thing to go through. I lost someone very important to me. He was my best friend. Life is good, it's beautiful, but you have to know how to live. One thing I could learn about this, that I'm going to live my life and enjoy each moment. We don't know where we are going to leave this place. You don't know. We have to love. We have to forgive. We have to be patient. We have to be connected, to try to be a good person.
My grandfather, Tata. Well, Tata means grandfather in Polish. I always thought Tata was his real name until I was old enough to know that Ichik was actually his name. My grandfather had recently undergone a triple bypass at the age of 84, and things didn't go well, and he was going to die soon. And I walked into the room, and I saw my grandfather there, and he looked at me, and he smiled. And in that moment, I understood that this man, this extraordinary man, was never going to leave that room, was never going to leave that bed. I said, look, you know, I know you're dying. And he goes, yeah. And what is the one thing you want me to know, that you want me to tell my grandchildren? And he said, wow. He goes, well, I'll tell you a story. Back in World War II, I was a young soldier, and I had your grandmother, Dora, who you never met, and she was pregnant with your father. We were walking on foot in the snow, and we got to a field hospital, and in this field hospital, in front of the advancing Nazi army, your grandmother gave birth to your father. And I realized that if we stayed there, we would die. So I stole a Jeep and food, and I drove as far away as I could. And when the Jeep ran out of gas, and when we ran out of food, we walked in the snow. But there came a time when we couldn't walk anymore, when we couldn't take another step. And I'll never forget, I was in a snowstorm, I was carrying Dora on my back, and your infant father in my arms. And I thought that maybe if I just rested for a little while, I could get up and go again. The truth is, I was passing one person after another that had stopped and died in the place they stopped. And I looked down at your infant father, who was dying of pneumonia, by the way. And I looked into his eyes, and I said to him, one day, your son will know no war. But today, you have to do your part. You have to live through the night, and I will keep going. Because I knew if I stopped, I would die, and he wouldn't live, and you wouldn't exist. And the one thing that I am most proud of is that I kept my promise that night to your father. And here you are. And who you are to me is my heart. You know, I left my grandfather that night, and I never saw him again. So many people all over the world have made so many sacrifices, literally have given their life so that their family or this planet could have an opportunity to discover the gifts within themselves and to experience the richness of life. That's what matters. That's what matters.
Just by being willing to look for the gift in a situation, my being changes. And it is our job to identify the goodness that is occurring. It is serving our awakening to the powerful co-creators that we are. Every single thing that is occurring is serving that purpose. That's the only thing that's happening in all of creation.
I recently discovered I had prostate cancer. And it was an initial shock. And I have to tell you, that triggered a series of the most extraordinarily wonderful events and experiences. New friendships, a closeness between myself and my wife of 20 years that just keeps getting better, and we'd often thought it couldn't get any better, but it does. It just has been amazing. But it took looking for the blessing in it. So that's the ultimate accountability, ultimate responsibility. Am I going to look for the goodness in things, or am I going to look for the darkness in things? And that's a choice.
Just the idea of having a great many different experiences in your life. To be able to have those experiences, positive, negative, happy, sad, suffering, celebratory, and to be able to acknowledge that you are experiencing them and that you're grateful for those experiences and learning from them, to see every experience as something that you can value and take with you, that God may be trying to teach you, or also that God wants you to experience as part of the gift that you are as a human being.
I'm going to let the truck behind you back up.
But that's a positive experience too, having that truck backing up behind you, ruining your movie. You know, you can learn from that. You can learn to have a different angle, or...
When something that could be a crisis or a tragedy shows up, instead of it's a problem, what if it's for me? You know, that's the way I find the gift. I ask, what if this is for me? And immediately that shifts my focus from problem to solution and positive possibility and even, oh boy. So simply by saying, what if this is for me? All of a sudden I've got a better feeling. I don't have this crisis anymore.
I was going to divorce my husband, the father of my child, the man I love and have chosen to spend my life with. And we were really having a hard time. I didn't tell most people how much pain I was in, but I had been dealing and struggling with a back injury that I had had many years ago from a job-related incident. And the more struggle we had in our relationship, the more pain I started to be in physically. That energy manifested in a very negative way in my body. So for me, it showed up as a lot of pain, a lot of emotional pain. It showed up as physical pain. My back ended up going out. I got back surgery. There was all sorts of ways that me not honoring my true voice and my husband not honoring his true voice showed up in our lives. And I think that was one of the biggest life adversities I've ever come up against.
My sister Cheyenne and her husband Sharif had been going through a very difficult time. Their marriage was falling apart. They were deeply in love with each other, but they were not living a life that honored the gifts that they were for each other or for the world.
My husband was struggling finding himself, finding his path, his goal, and I saw his greatness, but I didn't see him accessing it.
I was lost. I'd lost my passion. Wasn't happy with the way I was or what I was doing. I wasn't happy with my marriage. I wasn't happy with my life. And now I didn't know how to get out of it.
They were stuck, blaming each other, not in alignment with the spiritual laws of the universe.
I'd forgotten my childhood dream. I'd let it go. And it was eating away at me. It all stemmed from having fear. I was really afraid. So in essence, I was hiding behind this facade that if I didn't go for my dreams, then I wouldn't fail. So I decided to let it die.
I was surprised to learn that Sharif's dream had always been to come to Hollywood and work in the movie business. He even had a film company set up in Morocco 20 years before we ever met each other. So I did something rather dramatic. I explained to Sharif that I had to hire a new VP for my company, and I have to hire that person today. That was a Thursday. I offered him the job, but I said, if you accept the job, you have to pack your bags. You have to leave your wife and child, move to California on Saturday,
so that you can be in the business meetings with me on Monday.
I couldn't believe that I was being offered the thing that I was really dreaming about for all of my life. I had a big, steep learning curve. But I was passionate about filmmaking, so the learning actually came really easy. I was finally in alignment with my gift.
I think the thing I want to tell people is there is a thing called transformation. I mean, it literally means to transcend the limitations ordinarily imposed by form. But it's not a light switch. You know, you can become really good at anything that matters to you if you're willing to do the work. Anything.
My sister Cheyenne had always wanted to write books, to be an author. In truth, she'd been writing as long as I could remember.
It's always been my passion. I've loved writing since I was young. And I always wonder deep inside how I get my real feelings out to the world and how do I share them. But I was so afraid to put my voice on paper, to put my words down, and I doubted myself. I doubted who I was, if anyone would care what I had to say. And it always seemed really big for me and too big for me to even accomplish, so why even try?
Forget the word can't and just take a step. It might not even be in the right direction, but you won't know that until you get to that step. And then the next step, and then the next step. Take a step. That's all it is.
And when I sat down to write Discover the Gift, at first I thought, oh no, what am I gonna say? How do I do this? And then I thought, okay, I know the key to writing is just writing, so just write, Cheyenne, write. Once I took that one step, that fear that had been keeping me back for so long was relinquished. And all of a sudden I was at this different place with myself, really living my gift, really being who I am. What happened was that the authentic me showed up, and I'm so grateful.
And so she drove across country and began to write Discover the Gift, the book, and to co-produce the movie with me alongside her husband. Both of them now fully and actively engaged in their gifts.
When I started valuing my own self, my heart, my time, my dream, it was like I came out of the cave and I finally started living in light. Cheyenne and I just started having another level of relationship. It was amazing.
Getting space and us getting to be with ourselves, choosing ourselves, and then having the space to choose each other saved our marriage. And when I look back now, I giggle because I think, wow, that was so hard, but yet it was so easy.
The process isn't strategy or fighting or forcing or controlling or trying harder. The process is relaxing into it, going inside and following that inner direction. Because what I think I want out there may not be for my highest good. And I've got to get really good at listening to this inner direction, even when it takes me someplace that isn't what I think I want. I need to surrender to that. I need to recognize what shows up there. I need to cooperate with it, and I need to let go of the other and see if I can flow with this. And when I do, it's amazingly easy. When I don't, it's hard.
When I was 19, I was abducted and beaten and repeatedly raped. And the most unusual thing happened in the midst of that experience. I found this feeling of safety emerging. The logic seems crazy, but my thought was, if I could live through this, I could live through anything. I didn't know if they were gonna let me live or if they would kill me. And when I realized that, I had this profound revelation. Not like some lofty concept, but as an actual experience. I got that who I am is not my body. Even if I didn't make it out of there, I would make it out of there.
And in that moment, this previously unthinkable act turned into this gift that I held in my heart. Life recontextualizes itself. In the moment I named that as a gift, my past was different, and the future truly became a space where anything was possible. And forever since, I've felt safe.
We have a new kind of evolution. It's called conscious and participatory, which means right here and right now, at this second, beginning with our own life, we can change, we can shift, we can grow and become who we're meant to be. Nothing can determine our growth and unfoldment and happiness except for ourselves.
Commitment for a better society should rise within each one of us. Technology which has made the globe into a village, and it is a spirituality which is going to make it into a family.
It can't just be a few political spokespeople saying it. It has to be filmmakers saying it. It has to be scientists saying it. It has to be corporate execs saying it. It has to be parents saying it. It has to be whatever you do, that you are so passionate about the possibility of what could be, that you get that life is a gift, and you get that it's not guaranteed.
It just takes one person's awakening to elevate the consciousness of a family. It just takes one person's awakening to elevate the consciousness of a company or of a community. And then it has that ripple effect.
The future, good or bad, entirely depend on our own present behavior, a present action.
You can't, in a way, promote states of being that you yourself don't understand. Now, you can't promote world peace if you are angry. As Gandhi said, you have to be the change. It begins with your own transformation.
I was beginning to find my balance with the spiritual laws of the universe. They were like different colors of the rainbow, each beautiful by itself. But joined together, they shine as a single white light, illuminating everything and everyone. I feel the laws flowing through me like a river now, with a strong but steady current, washing the resistance to my own existence away.
It's like the rolling stones in the water, and water flows. It doesn't stop because there is a stone, it flows over it. And in due course, it even shapes the stone itself. Just needs a little perseverance, patience, and conviction that love wins, and will always win.
I had the unique experience to die at one time. I was in a car accident and pronounced dead. I had the experience of being everything, of experiencing all the important people in my life, whether they were alive or had passed on. And I had time to talk with them and be with them. And it seemed like it was days that I was experiencing. I also experienced being the ocean. I was a drop of the ocean, but then a drop of the ocean is the ocean. And then there was light. And I was part of the light. And everyone that I had talked to and been with during that time was part of the light. And it was beautiful, and it was full of joy, and there was no judgment. All there was love, beautiful, magnificent, all-encompassing love.
Agape means unconditional love. It's a love that cannot be done with the mind. It's a love that takes us over when our heart is open. And we discover there's no boundary between us. That it's all about love, and it's all about forgiveness. And that the universe doesn't have 1 ounce of retribution in it. All it has is love. It's just a unified field of love.
Think about it, when you're around someone who's loving, do they have to say anything to you? You just feel their energy, their goodness just overflows.
There's really only one law, and it's the law of love that makes me one with you, with them, with the people on the other side of the globe, with everyone, everywhere. And when you find love, you found everything.
It's this continual state of being. So it's about, doing that inner work and then bringing that into your moment-to-moment interactions and connections and into your moment-to-moment life. It's about being the light and bringing that light, reflecting it everywhere you go.
There's nothing loving won't heal. Nothing. Nothing. Now, I forget that sometimes. But I never forget that I've gotten it. And I know I can return there. And I know that when I do, my life is beautiful. And the results I produce are positive. And it kind of spills over, and someone else picks it up and passes it on. It just multiplies that way.
As long as I'm in a state of love, miracles will happen here. And when you know that only love is real, it changes everything.
Love is the basic principle of how everything works. You don't cause pain, you don't do violence to anything in any way, even in the subtlest way, because it hurts the whole system, which of course comes back to you.
Coming from our heart is authentic, and that's a feeling experience. And what I recommend to people is, hey, you got to be able to feel it. If you can feel it, if you can feel that someone's coming from their heart, then you know you're hearing them with your heart.
Your heart will always be true. Whenever you have a question, put your hands on your heart. Ask that question. Your heart will tell you instantly what the answer is. And our tendency is to follow the fear that lives up here. When we just find that peace in ourselves, walk our truth, always be in your heart, your life will become easier, much easier.
There's a language beyond words. It's a language of our hearts. It's a language of the soul. So when we give our love, we add to that vibration that encircles the universe. When we let go of our words and our thoughts, and we fall into our heart.
We should call normal the person who awakens each morning with shining eyes, seeing each day as a gift, clearly centered in what they're passionate about and committed to a practice of getting better and better and better at it, and living a life that's a gift to the world, welcoming people of all ethnicity and persuasion with respect and warmth. We ought to call that normal.
It's simple. It's you. You're the gift.
Since all there is this present moment, since it's the only thing that exists, how much of a gift is it to actually be present with the person in front of you and expressing love to that person in front of you? Think about that for a moment.
If you had asked, what are you going to be doing in a year? I never would have thought that I'd be here speaking with you, that I've gone through this incredible journey, working and creating Discover the Gift, and that I would have, through that work, transformed myself and discovered my own gifts. And what we ended up creating was a family of togetherness and love. We have unity.
The discovery of the gift of forgiveness, compassion, and family has resulted in the healing of my heart. Love is the gift that reveals itself. I am now being the man I always wanted to be, with my family, my friends, my business, my community. Love is the true hidden treasure. Living your life is like sailing. You're constantly making adjustments and corrections. But once you take the wheel and set your course, you can go anywhere. And after this long journey of my own, if there is any wisdom I can offer, it is simply this: follow your heart, discover your gift, and get ready for the greatest adventure of your life.